Thank you for tuning in to the latest edition of the 12 Kyle podcast. Whether you're listening during your commute, while working out, or just relaxing at home, we appreciate you. Every download, every listen, and every subscription means a lot. Up next, the 12 Kyle podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. Thank you for downloading. And thank you for subscribing to the latest edition of the 12 Kyle podcast. I am your boy, 12 Kyle. Man, check this out. On this episode, what I want to talk about is what men need to know. More specifically, men need to know that it's okay. I know that's a broad statement, but I'm going to explain how I came to this idea or concept for this particular episode. I'll be honest, I can't remember if I saw this meme on Facebook or was it in the group chat? I really don't remember. So if you sent it to the group chat and I saw it and I used it for the podcast, I'm sorry for not giving you the credit. But it just talked about what men need to know that it's okay to do. And the things that I'm going to talk about in this episode specifically deal with men and our emotions. As many of you know, maybe you don't know, it is Men's Mental Health Month. And shout out to the homie King Germ, who talked about it on his podcast, Pod and Saved Our Marriage. And the homie Baylor, BTG for President, is his podcast. He also did an episode on it as well. And I think we don't necessarily talk about our mental health probably as much as we should. And there's a lot of different reasons for that. But I think, you know, in being a man, you were taught at a young age to, you know, be tough, stand firm, stand tall, beat your chest. You know, you're the man, or you're the young man, or you're the boy. You have to be, you know, you have to not show any emotion or weakness. And that's just not true. I think it's okay to show emotions because at the end of the day, we're human, right? And so humans show emotion. They have different emotions, and emotions is not always about crying or being sensitive. Emotions can be laughing. That's an emotion. That's a feeling of joy and of happiness. But what I wanted to talk about is, you know, some of the things that I saw in this particular meme, that things that men need to know that it's okay to do. One of the things that was very interesting that happened to me, and I can't remember if I shared this with you guys on the podcast or not, but a very interesting thing happened to me during the pandemic. Me and some of my closest friends, my crew, the Oceans crew, we decided to, because we couldn't, you know, it was during the pandemic, at the height of the pandemic, we couldn't move around. And this is my crew from back home, like my boys that I grew up with. We decided to like have a monthly call, just, you know, a Zoom call where, you know, we could get on and just, you know, talk to each other. And because we have a group chat, and the group chat is every day, it's constant, it's jokes, it's memes, it's making fun of people that we know, or sometimes people we don't know, but mostly people that we know. But we decided to do something different as far as like having a Zoom call monthly. And we did it a lot during the pandemic. We still do it. We probably, it went from being once a month to like once every month and a half or so. And then every now and then something will happen and we'll be like, hey man, we need to get on a call. Okay. And then we'll coordinate our schedules and get on a call. But one of the first things that we talked about, and one of the first times that we had one of those Zoom calls, and it's just, you know, just a wellness check on each other, just to make sure we are all doing well. But one of the homies said it, and it never really dawned on me until actually it came out of his mouth. But he said, you know, one of the things that he learned was that as a man, we're always, when someone asks how we're doing, we're always going to say, I'm okay. And that's interesting because a lot of times we're not okay, but you can't really tell people that you're not okay. At least as a man, that's not what you were taught, most of us. And so there's a trickle down effect for that happening because, you don't necessarily talk about your emotions or how you're feeling or what you're going through more specifically, because here's the thing. Everybody is going through something. You either going through something or you just got through something or you're about to go through something. Like that's almost like the circle of life, and it happens. And so it's really, you get to a point in life where it's not even so much as about what you're going through, it's how you handle whatever it is that you're going through. But I thought that was interesting because it was something that I'd never thought before. And it's typical. You ask a man how he's doing. I'm okay. He's not going to tell you, oh man, my dog died. I got ridden up at work. My wife's on my back like the hag. That type of stuff. He's not going to tell you all of that. He's just not. Now, some men will be a little bit more open than others, but the thing is that you have to, and the thing that our group and our crew does is that we allow ourselves to have those moments of vulnerability to let our guards down, let our hair down, let everybody know what's going on with each other. Cause this is, a lifetime worth of friends. I don't know that many people who have lifelong friends like we have. And I'm not saying I'm not saying that we're special. There are people who've been friends as long as we have, but it's a little bit different when you know somebody that, knew you before the fame and the money and the cars and all of this other stuff. For those of us who are famous, I'm not famous, but that's another story for another day. But you get my point, right? So the thing that one of the things that I love about, the calls that we have, is that, you get your moments where you can, let it out and be vulnerable, and express how you feel. And then you have the other moments where it's just jokes and it's nonstop laughter. It is jokes upon jokes upon jokes. I'm gonna have to come back and do an episode about roasting, because in our group chat and on our calls, there's constant roast. But also getting back to the topic, men need to know that it's okay. And what this meme says is men need to know that it's okay. And it just talks about different things. So I'll kind of run them down to you and give you a little brief synopsis on it. It says men need to know it's okay to talk about their feelings. I don't think we necessarily do that a lot. I can say, even as a grown old man or older man, I'll tell you how I feel. If I don't like something, I don't like it. If I like something, I like it. If something bothers me, I will let you know. I think there was a point in time in my life where earlier in life, I probably wasn't as vocal about the things that bothered me or things that I didn't like, because you try to, I don't want to say walk on eggshells, but you try to appease people. As I've gotten older, no, if I don't like something, I'll tell you. If I don't like you, I'll tell you. And it's never done in a malicious way, but it's you have to do that to protect your peace. But I think it's very important to talk about your feelings. That is very important for men to talk about their feelings, good, bad, or indifferent. It's also very important for men to talk about their feelings as far as how they feel about, the people that they love, the people that they care about. It's very important, particularly for me as a father, to express my love and adoration and admiration for my children, because I do those things for them, and they do those things to me. I love them unconditionally. And I think it's important, not just that I love them, but it's also important that they hear that constantly, daily. There's never a time where I don't tell them I love them, and they know that. And so I don't ever want it to be a time where they have to wonder if their dad loves them. But I think it's also important that, as men, we talk about our feelings as far as our significant others, our girlfriends, our wives or boyfriends, whatever it is. You got to be able to express those feelings, because a lot of times, with the way the world moves and the way, that we are involved with social media and stuff, the expressing of feelings kind of gets removed to some degree because of technology and because of how we as people move around now. You're not as open as you once were. I think that can be resolved by simply opening your mouth and letting people know how you feel. Because listen, if you don't tell them how you feel, they'll never know. I mentioned this before on previous episodes, like I was one who, if I liked you, you had to figure it out. Like I wasn't just going to come out and tell you sometimes. And it just really depended on the person. And then I got to a point in my life where I was like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, if you like this girl, tell her you like her, and it's cool. If she don't like you like that, then that's cool too. But you got to get that off your chest, right? Men need to know it's okay to ask for help. That was another point. That is so true. And I think that's very difficult for some men because the idea or the concept of asking for help is a sign of weakness, or at least that's what we were taught. And, I got to quote the homie Baylor, man. He would always say, a lot of our OGs lied to us. And he's right. A lot of your OGs, a lot of your parents, your uncles, aunts, mostly the male figures in your life lied to you. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay if you're down bad. It's okay to say, look, man, I'm down bad. Can you help me? And it doesn't necessarily have to be about finances, but if it comes to that, I know most men are very prideful. They don't want a handout, if you will, but at the same time, don't be in a position where you're about to get thrown out on the streets and you're too proud to ask somebody to help you because you're struggling with your bills. Now, what I can do in helping you is maybe look at your financial situation and say, well, hey, maybe, just maybe, you can't afford this, $3,000 apartment downtown. Maybe you might have to scale it back to a $1,500 apartment. I don't know. Instead of me giving you $3,000 so you can pay your rent. And if that happens, there's nothing wrong for asking for help. I have friends who've been through some tough times financially. And what's always interesting is like, they've never asked me for any money financially. And I'd gladly give it to them if they ask, but if they're not asking, then I'm assuming they don't need it. But I would definitely do it. I would do it in a heartbeat. And I believe in, if you have it to give, you just give it and you don't worry about, them paying you back. Now, the flip side of that is, if you say you're going to pay me back, pay me back. Now, I'm not going to ask you to pay me back, but if you insist on saying, hey, I'm going to take this money from you so I can pay my rent, I'm going to pay you back by the 15th. Hey, guess what? On the 15th, I'm knocking on your door because I want my money back. It also said men need to know it's okay to break down. I think that's important too. I think in breaking down, it allows you to break down the walls as well. Breaking down those walls of fear, the walls of abandonment, the walls of any and every feeling that you have. And I think a lot of times as men, we were taught at a young age to build walls up around us. I remember telling a young lady many, many years ago that I had a fortress built around my heart. And if she could get to it, good luck. Of course, this was long before I got married, but I said it in jest, but I really meant it because I didn't want anybody getting that close to me. And I didn't want to be that serious, and I didn't want anybody to be that serious about me. But what I was trying to do was protect my heart. And I realized over a period of time, I really wasn't doing a good job of it. You know what I mean? So over a period of time, that kind of dissipated, and I was able to let myself be vulnerable, let my heart be vulnerable, and then open myself up to love. Another point, are you feeling nostalgic for the golden eras of rap and soul music? If so, tune in to the Rap Soul Podcast. We are your weekly journey through the 80s, 90s, and 2000s, spotlighting the music and the hidden gems that shaped the soundtrack of our lives. From the powerful beats to the soulful melodies, we bring you the best of the past with fresh insights and stories. Rediscover the music that defined a generation. Subscribe to the Rap Soul Podcast and enjoy the vibes. If you want a podcast where culture, conversation, and life collide, where you get insightful commentary, engaging discussions, and a fresh perspective on everything, then you need to listen to the 12 Kyle podcast, hosted by the one and only, yours truly, 12 Kyle, a voice that you know and trust. This podcast will bring you thought provoking moments, compelling stories, and a whole lot of fun. Whether you're a first time listener or just tuning in, each episode promises to be something new and exciting. So sit back, relax, join 12 Kyle, myself, and my guests as we break down the world around us and give you stories that you've never heard before, from nostalgic throwbacks to everything in between. The 12 Kyle podcast is a front row seat to this conversation. Subscribe now and never miss an episode of the 12 Kyle podcast, where the vibe is always real and the discussion is always worth your time. The meme made it said, men need to know it's okay to cry. Listen, a good cry is very cleansing. Again, showing your emotions, being emotional, it's okay. It's not a sign of weakness. I'm one who doesn't really cry a lot. But I can tell you about the last time that I cried. It was a couple of weeks ago. And it was at our son Brandon's high school graduation. And I wasn't even crying for Brandon. That was the funny thing. There was a kid in Brandon's senior class who was paralyzed. The kid played football with Brandon. And I think at some point during their junior year, he got hit. He hit someone or something like that, and he was paralyzed from the waist down. And so that, that's something that has happened and can happen, obviously, in football. But, it's really, really tough to see that happen to a kid playing high school football whose life is upended. One day you're running around playing football, and the next day you're, confined to a wheelchair, possibly for the rest of your life. And what got me was, it was his time. He had his wheelchair positioned at the end of his row, what have you. And then when they were calling the names up, there was a ramp for him to roll up. And I'm thinking, like everybody else is thinking, he's just going to roll across the stage. Man, look, that kid got up. They gave him some things to prop his arms up, and he walked. Not physically. I mean, he was taking small steps, but he was walking. And everybody in the gymnasium, 8,000 strong, standing on their feet, clapping, yelling his name. And man, crowds, the cheering of crowds does something to me. I guess because of my years of playing football, I love and really truly miss hearing the roar and the adoration from a crowd. And to be in an arena like that and feel that emotion, I mean, like you could feel it. And so, man, it was just, and it's funny because my brother was standing right next to me, and I looked over and he was wiping his eyes, I was wiping my eyes too. And it was just like I said, I wasn't even emotional about my son graduating or walking across the stage. I was happy. I was cheering and cheering him on and everything like that, smiling from ear to ear. But, you get this kid that actually, and I mean, like, it took him a minute, about a minute to get across the stage. And he got probably another minute and a half, 2 minutes standing ovation. I mean, like, we were on our feet just yelling. And so, it's okay to cry. I felt cleansed. It wasn't something that was pre-planned. It wasn't something, again, that I do often. And it's not, I really don't have a rhyme or reason for why I don't cry. I'm not saying that I don't cry at all. I'm human, right? I cried a couple of weeks prior to that at Cameron's graduation, our son that graduated from Southern University. And, that felt good, just sitting in the arena, just wiping those tears, because I know, the blood, sweat, and tears that he put into going to college and getting that degree that he got. So, and I know how hard we had to work to get him through school. And I know how much I had to pay to get him through school. So, it was a bunch of emotion, but it's okay to cry. It is totally okay to cry. Men need to know it's okay to need support. Support is everything. Men won't tell you this, but we love support. We love when somebody's got our back. Method Man famously said, even when the skies are gray, baby, you would rub me on my back and tell me that it would be okay. I mean, that is a very subtle line, but that is so true. We need and really cherish and need that support. And when you know that you have that support, it goes a long way. It really, really does. Men need to know it's okay to be vulnerable. Being vulnerable isn't easy. It isn't easy because, again, it goes back to what I said a little earlier. Opening yourself up. For a lot of guys, it's easy to shoot that shot at that young lady that you like. That's easy. It's easy to talk to her in that club, or it's easy to approach her at the mall and try to get that phone number or whatever the case may be. It's a lot more difficult when you're sitting across from someone at a table and you're having dinner and you're looking into their eyes and they're looking into your eyes, and they say, well, they ask you a simple question. What is it that you see in me that you like about me? Or what is it that you love about me? Or more importantly, tell me about yourself. Tell me about how you grew up. Tell me about the relationship that you have with your mother. Tell me about the relationship that you have with your father. Tell me about the relationship that you have with your kids. And they're asking you these questions, and you have to be vulnerable. You can't just say, oh, me and my mom's is cool. Yeah, my pops, he all right. That won't happen. It can't happen. You have to be vulnerable, and it's okay to be vulnerable. I don't think necessarily that anyone that you're dealing with is going to make fun of you or chastise you for showing who you are and how you feel. Men need to know it's okay to go to therapy. Listen, there's nothing wrong with going and sitting on someone's couch and talking to them about what's going on in your head and your heart. Going to Facebook ain't the answer. And most men probably won't, but a lot of men also keep those feelings and those emotions bundled inside. And that's not necessarily healthy, because a lot of times those emotions come out all at once. And so when you've been dealing with, the stress at work, when you've been dealing with the stress at home, when you've been dealing with the stress of loved ones, if you have a lot of emotion, sometimes that's going to come out. It's okay to go to therapy, to have someone, a professional, sit down and talk to you about what it is that's going on with you. Doesn't mean you're crazy. It doesn't mean that you have lost your mind. It doesn't mean that something's quote unquote wrong with you. Therapy works. Give it a try. Men, it's okay to go to therapy. I can't say it anymore. It's okay. You need to know it's okay to go to therapy. Men need to know, lastly, men need to know it's okay to not be okay. And that's, a difficult thing for some to admit to. As I mentioned at the beginning, the default answer is, man, how you doing? I'm okay. You rarely say, man, how are you doing? Man, I'm not doing okay. That's tough. I just had a conversation with one of the homies today, matter of fact. And, I'm not going to get into the details of our conversation because it was a private conversation. But he initially, after the, the jokes, he told me like, hey, man, this been a rough patch for me so far in 2025. And I didn't know, honestly, that he was going through some of the stuff that he was going through, some health challenges, nothing that he can't overcome, because I'm sure that he will. But it was news to me, and I appreciate it. And I told him in the conversation, I appreciate the honesty, because like that could have been something he could have kept, or it could have been something that could have gone left. And I found out about it later, And I'm like, man, I didn't, and next thing you know, he's checking up out of here, and I'm hurt that he's gone. And I'm like, how was he sick? And I didn't know anything about it. We're cool. We supposed to be able to talk about anything. I may not be the first person you call, but if we're cool, I should know, And but I felt really good after the conversation, after the laughs, that he confided in me about that or what have you, and he's gonna be okay. Trust me, he's gonna be okay. Again, I'm not gonna get into who it was or anything like that because it doesn't matter. But the thing that I think is important is that he felt the need to come to me about it, and I feel honored and I cherish the fact that he said something to me. But again, it's okay to not be okay. And I know particularly when you talk about health and things like that, particularly your physical health and your mental health, we as men are used to being on a certain level, and we spent much of our younger lives working on our bodies and being in shape and doing all of these things and being able to jump out of a gym or throw a basketball or throw a baseball, 90 miles an hour, or, to hit a golf ball or whatever the case may be. Athletically, we could do it all. And as you get older, you can't do those things anymore. Maybe you just can't do them as well. And, we take on certain things. And, I know people who have, I mentioned on previous episodes where, now, they hit 50 and now all of a sudden they are taking meds every day. I feel fortunate. I just have to take an allergy pill. That's it. But I mean, it's still a med, but I mean, I have allergies now. It's not my fault. It's just something that happens, but it's about us taking care of ourselves. And it's okay to say, hey, I wasn't in a good place health wise, but I'm okay. I'm better. I'm back. I'm back to being me. Because a lot of times some of the stuff that happens to us daily, can be hidden behind a meme or a joke, or, the guy that's making everybody laugh and he's really, feeling really bad inside, or he's on social media looking at everybody's highlights and he's thinking, wow, my life isn't where it's supposed to be. And, that can do something to your mental health as well. So I think it's very important, in this particular month, Men's Mental Health Month, for us to, one, not only recognize the things that are happening, but also do something about it. In conclusion, I just want to say, to any men listening or watching on YouTube, thank you for watching. I definitely appreciate it. Just know that it's okay for everything. You need to know that it's okay. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to break down. It's okay to cry. It's okay to need support. It's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to go to therapy. And ultimately, it's okay not to be okay. Because at the end of the day, we want you to be okay. And the only way that you can be okay is by acknowledging that something is happening and something is going on with you. Let the people who love you, who trust you, who respect you, let them help you. Help is not a bad thing, but you got to first want to help yourself. That's where it starts. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for me. Thanks again for checking out this edition of the 12 Kyle Podcast. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast. We drop new episodes every Thursday and every Sunday at midnight. If you're on YouTube, thank you for watching. Make sure that you subscribe to the YouTube channel. We drop new episodes on YouTube. Every episode is on YouTube, and we got a slew of episodes in the past, so you can go check those out as well. We are on social media, 12 Kyle Podcast across the board. Also, if you want to contribute to the podcast financially, hit us up on Cash App. $TWELVEKYLE. Also, we have merch. Just click the description box where it says merch. You can order 12 Kyle Podcast t-shirts, hoodies, as well as coffee mugs. We got them for the low. Also, we have a new baby. It's called the Rap Soul Podcast. It is the intersection where we have discussions about artists and music from the 80s, the 90s, and the 2000s when it comes to rap, hip-hop, soul, and R&B. Simply put, it is the best music podcast that you've never heard. So make sure that you check it out. We drop new episodes every Monday and every Friday. Again, that's going to do it for me. I am your boy 12 Kyle. I'll catch you guys next time. 5,000. Cheer.
Thanks again for listening to this episode of the 12 Kyle podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure that you hit the subscribe button and share this podcast with a friend who needs the 12 Kyle podcast in their life. Every listen, every download, and every share helps us grow. Thanks for being a part of the 12 Kyle podcast community. We appreciate your support. We will catch you next time. 5,000.